Hello, everybody, and welcome to She Shakes Fear. Yes, that's exactly what I said. She, as in I, shakes fear, as in I cause fear to shake. Oh, yes, baby. That's what we're talking about on the first episode of She Shakes Fear. Let's get to it. So, She Shakes Fear. What are we going to be talking about on She Shakes Fear? And just exactly what does that mean? In a nutshell, let's just say that fear is the one thing that I believe, or one of the many things that all of humanity have in common. We share that fear. And at no time are you able to say that you are without fear or that you exist absent of fear. Fear is waiting for you on every level. Fear is the obstacle. Fear is the challenge. Fear is what builds our spiritual muscles. Fear is our friend. Don't you just feel that fear shaking in you? Like, what the hell is she talking about? What secret does she know? What secret does she know? I'll tell you, and it's not a secret at all. If you sit back, take a moment. I know. We all have busy lives. We all have busy lives. I have a busy life too. We all have busy lives. And so sitting back or taking a moment is somehow now foreign to us. It's foreign. It's not something that we do on a regular basis, consciously or unconsciously, right? So, but I'm asking you, and if obviously if you're watching this video, you have somehow created, because you are the creator, you have created a moment to sit back, take some time to listen to what I'm sharing with you. And so that is what I'm asking you to do, even after you complete watching this video. And please watch it to the end, because I have carved out time in my schedule, created time in my schedule so that I could share this with you. So please take advantage of it and make it worth your while. Watch the video through to the very end to make sure you get every single piece of this next puzzle in how to live this thing we call life while shaking fear. Okay, so let me get back on track. Okay, so if you sit back and reflect over your life and think about all the things that you, I'm gonna have to pause one moment. I tend to be long-winded, and I don't want this sharing to be more than 1 hour. But I will share it with you in its entirety, and I may break it up into 2 videos. But either way, overall, I don't want to go beyond 1 hour. That is the boundary that I'm setting for myself as I myself disciple myself. Okay, so now, where we were, and I'll stop a few minutes before it's out because I know I started already. But so when you sit back, take that time to sit back and reflect over your life and think about all the things that you once were fearful of. And then think about the moment in your life when you overcame that fear. And then think about the level of the way you were living, like level. Think about the experience of the way you were living, like regardless of your environmental circumstances. Perhaps at one point you lived your life not very outgoing, not taking initiative to do new things, and something occurred that enabled you, an experience occurred that enabled you to overcome a fear. Maybe it was the fear of making new friends, but then you found yourself in a situation, maybe, I don't know, lost with another kid out in, got lost from your group or something like that. And so the two of you had to depend upon each other to find your way back. That's a fearful situation. And so, of course, you may not have ever known that you had a fear of being lost, but it is that fear of being lost that enabled you to create a friendship in order that you may be found, that you may be able to find your way back. And so in overcoming that fear, the next time you found yourself in a situation in which you felt lost, come on and go with me, y'all. This is about some esoteric wisdom. Many of you have entertained me. And when I say entertain me, I mean many of you have shared dialogue with me, and I've had many people come in my inbox on various platforms and, tell me that they love the way that I think, or they love or appreciate the things that I share. And all I'm sharing is wisdom. And, we all know, and if you don't, now you know, that information and or knowledge, what we consider knowledge, upon reading, hearing, or doing something, it becomes knowledge to us. But when we actually experience it, and I don't mean doing it as in actually having an experience, doing it as in learning how to, how the workflow goes for a particular experience. So you're just learning the principles or the concepts. Before you take your test, you're learning the principles and the concepts, and you're doing practice exercises before you have the actual exam, okay? And so what I'm saying is that as you are having these practice experiences or whatever, it doesn't become wisdom until the knowledge has been applied. So the exam or the test is that grand experience where the sum total of everything you've learned serves as the catalyst for you to get over a bridge, get over a hump, pass over a river, overcome a valley, or come up out of the valley. Whatever metaphor or analogy you choose to apply, if you follow what I'm saying, you found a way to get from point A to C, B being the bridge, the connecting particle. Okay, you found the connecting particle, which allowed you a gateway into another level of living. So once you overcome a fear, it's like going over a bridge. You no longer have to go back over that bridge to experience that fear again, of course, unless you choose to. Perhaps it wasn't as apparent to you. Perhaps it did not trigger your awareness that you have not been given a spirit of fear, but of peace and a sound mind. So perhaps some of us will go back over the bridge of fear to have another experience to overcome that bridge yet again. But if you choose to move forward along your path, then once you overcome that particular fear and you choose to move forward, you are then now faced with a new set of experiences and a brand new fear. Yes. It is no secret. It is no secret. Only to those who are still lost. Or what, mainstream America right now, or global America, the global system that we live in is kind of calling it our culture. And the things that are happening in our world right now are basically, it's a bridge. It's a bridge. It appears as chaos and total division, but it's a bridge to another level of expression. Unfortunately, like I said before, there are some that will cross that bridge of fear and walk into a new expression, there are those who will move forward in that new expression. There are those who will question what just happened and go back over the bridge of fear to only have to have another experience again. But I didn't mention before that there will be a group of people, call them the remnant. There will be a group of people, and this is in consciousness. This is in consciousness. So think about sci-fi, think about supernatural, okay? Think about things that are occurring in the darker realms, in the higher frequencies, or even in the lower realms, but still the darker frequencies, right? Regardless of how you choose to imagine what it is that I'm sharing with you, understand that this is not in the physical realm, what I'm speaking of. These are things that are occurring, chemical reactions that are occurring in the invisible realm. You could even think about the dynamics that occur within our bodies. There's a lot of chemistry that takes place in our body. There's a lot of mathematical equations that are taking place in our body at the speed of light to operate this body. So think of the invisible as I'm sharing this analogy with you, this metaphor. Everybody will not take the journey over that first bridge of fear. Everybody will not take the journey. And, similar to what an alcoholic who decides or makes the decision, or someone supports them in making the decision to join Alcoholics Anonymous so that they can recover, so that they can move beyond, so that they can cross over that bridge to a new expression, they first have to admit that they're an alcoholic. What we have to do as human beings, or let me back up, as beings who express as human, to see we're spiritual beings in this physical body, expressing as what we all agree is human. I love the word human. Man is just a physical nature of a God expression. And when we put the word hue in front of it, we would now spell that as H-U-E versus just H-U. But if you think about our ancestry and what we know about language, huma. Perhaps that's where it came from. But because, maybe at one point A, we were just considered all men, upright beings with flesh and bone and somewhat of a thinking mind on some level, maybe a level of just a basic level of awareness. We were called man or mankind. And then as we became more diverse, as our spectrum increased, we became different shades of the light, which appears in hues. And so as we became more aware of ourselves and each other, we referred to ourselves as Huma. The N may have not even been on there. Huma, especially if you think, like I happen to entertain a thought after reading this book, I believe I read it back in 2011 when I was rediscovering myself, recovering myself, remembering myself in 2011. I read this book called Goddess Black Woman, The Mother of Civilization by an author simply known as Akil. And one of the things I remember out of this book, and honestly, I don't even think I completely read the entire book. I got out of it at that time what I needed at that time. And so probably just the mere fact that I'm introducing it in this discussion, I'm probably going to read it again because clearly I'm at a different level since 2011. That was 10 years ago. So it's going to be interesting to discover again another aspect of myself as a result of reading these words again. So I'm excited about that upcoming venture. But one of the key things that I took out of the very beginning of the book is that, and men, don't be hurt, but that the female, the womb ma version of mankind came before the version we see now. How do you know that, Celeste? Well, guess what? I'm not going to tell you. One of the best tools that I have picked up along this 54-year journey, or almost 55-year journey that I've been on, is that curiosity is your guide along your journey. And so as I share my own wisdom, my own alchemy, my own aspects, my own perspectives of living this life for 55 years and experiencing it on both sides of the coin, both sides of the fence, in many principles and concepts I've had the fortunate opportunity of experiencing on different universes, in different parallels. You know, on the one hand, I experienced it as one version of myself, within, you know, multiple mini me's, multiple other versions, subversions of myself, and then went to an extreme on the other end and had similar experiences, but playing a different role. And, you know, okay, I'm all about keeping it real. If you've ever entertained me on any level, as in engaged me in dialogue, conversation, or some level of interaction, whether social media or virtually or in person, I speak my truth. I'm a transparent, authentic being. No other thing but that, beyond what exists in the past, okay? I have to be the truth. I am the truth. I am the truth. I can only share with you my truth, okay? What you choose to do with it is up to you. On my journey, led by my own curiosity about life, about the invisible, mostly about the invisible, the things that I cannot see because of my initial introduction into religion, my foundation for this spiritual journey during this lifetime of existence, I was told to believe in the Easter Bunny, an Easter Bunny who delivered treats to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. I was another being that I never will ever see visually with these two eyes. I was told to believe in Santa Claus, a portly Caucasian man that comes down the chimney once a year to deliver treats and goodies, again, treats and goodies to the little children who believe. I was told to believe in the tooth fairy who brings you money when you give up one of your teeth. It's interesting. I just had a distracting thought, but supplement to this conversation. Wonder if losing teeth somehow deducts from your total content of wisdom you can attain during this lifetime. I don't know where that came from. It's something to think about, though. Let me write that down. Like, teeth, spirituality or wisdom. Sorry. Sometimes when I have those distracting thoughts, I know that it's going to be something curiosity is going to cause me to explore it. And so I don't want to forget that one. So I'm going to have to look at the correlation between loss of teeth and the potential for wisdom on certain levels or whatever. Anyway, so I digress. Let me get back on track. Unfortunately, this is, I kind of probably always have gotten sidetracked, unfortunately, because I have the luxury of experiencing coronavirus for various reasons that I'll have to talk about on a later episode or in another podcast. But they call it brain fog. And so for me, if I can give you a quick visual, I'm a train going down a track of thought for a topic, and then I'll have a distracting thought that basically it's like an oncoming train that the engineer has to quickly switch the tracks so that it can take over that journey. And sometimes I'm able to get back on track so that other train can come back and again distract that thought. Sometimes I'm able to do that. Sometimes that original distracting thought just keeps on moving. So anyway, it's funny. I'm excited because, you know, I've decided to start back doing these videos, and so it's going to be entertaining and interesting and affirmative for me to go back and review the videos to see how that, you know, when those transitions occur and whether or not I get back on track or if the train keeps moving. So anyway, back to what I was saying, and I think this is because this aspect of living burdens my soul. There have been I've been exposed to a couple of schools of thought with regard to the collective. And when I speak of the collective, that means the whole of mankind, or the whole of beings expressing as human. When I think of collective, I think of the assumption that we're all connected because we all come from the same source ultimately, even if there's all these I have incense burning and it just smells so lovely. It's for the throat chakra, so I believe it's lavender. Oh, it smells so wonderful. So anyway, I'm sorry. Again, another distracting but welcome observation. It would be nice if we could all transition at the same time. It would be wonderful if we could all transform at the same time. It would be simply and utterly amazing. We would never have to experience those moments of aloneness or loneliness or, you know, any of those distracting thoughts that could impede our growth, because we're all moving along at the same pace. But we all know in this physical reality that is not the case. On this stage, on this platform, we all progress at our own rates, at our own frequencies, at our own levels, and at our, you know, when I say rates, I mean at our own vibrations. You know, sometimes you meet people and you vibe, but then those relationships may not last long because you only vibe on one level, on one frequency. It is those individuals that you vibe on multiple frequencies that you begin to form relationships with. Another sidebar. Call those like pearls of wisdom, because I could be, like I said, on that track, and then these distractions, you know, what I call as a intercepting or interrupting thought to supplement the original conversation, but it's also a gift. And so instead of looking at it, it used to irritate me when it first started happening, and now I welcome it. It's a pearl along the way. It's like a jewel. It's like if you were playing a video game and, you know, you pass a certain number of points, you get this extra bonus. You know, you get this jewel that's worth like 10,000 bonus points, you know, which propels you to another level instantly, just because you're, you know, progressing along your path and doing well, I might add. And so I don't consider those interrupting thoughts or distracting thoughts as a distraction or an interruption. It's a welcome addition to the conversation that I'm really virtually having with myself. So anyway, I digress. Let me get back on track. It would be wonderful if we could all move through life at the same pace, on the same level, on the same frequency, at the same rates. We do not. We do not. And with good reason. Even though it sounds wonderful and unifying and harmonious, we need those differing objectives. We need those differing perspectives in order to create some interference, some agitation, some pressures. We need those things to occur to propel us along our way, to propel us forward and upward, then inward, then back down and begin again. It's a cycle. It's a circle until it's not. And that is where we are shaking fear. Because fear is like, oh my God. Okay, wait a minute. I got ahead of myself because I got excited. Okay, let me just take a sip. I'm going to rest my glasses for just a second. I would love so much to read your comments. If you are connecting with me, if you are vibing with me at this time on this frequency. As we have dialogue, conversation, and interaction virtually. Are you with me? Mind freaks, can you hear me? If you speak this my thoughtology, let me know you're out there. I want to connect with you. I want to connect with you no matter where you are. And since this is my first broadcast under She Shakes Fear, please tell me where you're from. I want to know where you're from. I want to connect with you vibrationally. I want to get in tune with you. I want to create a dynamic where your vibration and your frequency is harmonious with mine, not because we are actually the same, but because of all the different perspectives in between. I have this thought that as I shine my light and I come into contact with all of you out here in the virtual universe, on the World Wide Web, that this spectrum, this light will be dispersed, that regardless of how I am delivering this information, you will be receptive to it, regardless of what level you're on, regardless of what rate you're vibrating at, regardless of what frequency, level and frequency being very similar. Regardless of those things. So what am I saying? What I am saying is, in this situation, when I am sharing information, there are no boundaries. There are no boundaries. And you see, I am able to do that because from a physical perspective, I have learned, I have remembered, I have rediscovered. See, I was discovered, and so I have rediscovered that there, that I was uncovered, and so I have covered myself with physical boundaries, not to separate myself, but to protect and fortify my energy. So that when I get in this arena where I have the opportunity to connect with so many people, I want to make sure that I have the supply, because that is wisdom. That is wisdom. I've withheld and I've given freely. I've withheld and I've given freely. And I've come to discover, to rediscover, to uncover, to pull those things back together. Not to prevent me from interacting with the world, but to preserve my energy so that I can. That is wisdom. That is what happens when you move from lost to found. From point A, bridge over fear, to point C, fear being the water beneath, fear of drowning. Fear of drowning, fear of succumbing to the fear even. It's called paralyzed. So again, as I move back to the topic of this conversation, or at least the point that I was attempting to make early on, it would be nice if we all moved at the same pace, at the same rate, on the same frequency, but we don't. And therefore, there's always what we have kind of come to agree is called the remnant or the left behind. Doesn't mean that you're less than. Doesn't mean anything other than you're not ready. You're not ready. It's no different than taking a batch of chocolate chip cookies with peanut butter chunks in it out of the oven too soon to enjoy. They weren't ready. The recipe recommended that you leave them in the oven at 375 for 12 to 15 minutes. You took them out at 8 minutes. Barely halfway through the cooking time. They weren't ready. You got sick because the eggs in the mix were not allowed to cook thoroughly, and you developed salmonella poisoning. You took the cookies out too early. My life, my win, my way for sure. My life, my win, my way. That's what I'm working for. My life, my win, my way for sure. My life, my win, my way. That's what I'm working for. My life, my win, my way for sure. My life, my win, my way. That's what I'm working for. My life, my win, my way for sure. My life, my win, my way. That's what I'm working for. Sure.